If you're thinking about buying a condo or you own a condo that is more than 20 years old, then you absolutely need to be aware of this massive issue facing most of BC's condos. My name is Willey. The example I'm going to use today is from a condo building here in Victoria, but this information really applies anywhere in BC and across Canada. Before we dig into the potential condo problem and how to safeguard yourself against it, please remember to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to leave a comment or a question below, as I want to hear your experiences with condos. The fact is, most stratas in BC are vastly underfunded and not prepared to deal with the massive inflation we've had over the last few years. When you purchase a condo, if you have a good realtor, they'll help you do a thorough review of the depreciation report, the strata minutes, and financials. In BC, stratas have to create a depreciation report every 5 years, and it's a snapshot of the building's physical health and a forecast of future expenses. Unfortunately, with the rapid inflation we've had over the past few years, most of these reports have quickly become obsolete and they no longer represent reality. For example, I recently steered my clients away from purchasing a condo built in 1990 after we reviewed the depreciation report. This building needed the big five: roof, exterior, windows, siding, and drainage, which is typical for a condo building 30 years or older. The report estimated over $3 million in 2025 for parquet and courtyard membrane replacement, another $4 million for windows and doors in 2032, and $3 million the following year for siding replacement, and even more in the pipeline. We added up all the costs of the special levies, and it came to over $100,000 per unit. So the depreciation report presented three scenarios, one of which meant a 100% increase in strata fees in 10 years, or scenario 2 paid lump sums as these costs come up, and scenario 3 was a hybrid with smaller increases and smaller lump sum payments. My client in this case was a retiree on a fixed income, but they could handle all the upcoming scenarios barely. So here's the problem. We knew going into this, no old building would be without some work in the future, and this was priced into the asking price. But this particular depreciation report was created in January 2020. It assumed an inflation rate of 2%. We're at over 7% today, and construction and labor costs are probably closer to a 50% increase since then. The owners could be looking at more than $200,000 in special assessments if inflation and building costs don't return to 2019 levels, which seems very unlikely. My clients are on a fixed income, and with the rising interest rates as well, this just wouldn't be feasible. The government mandates the CRF has to be 25% of the annual operating budget. However, this number does not correlate to the upcoming costs in any way. You might see a strata with $200,000 in the CRF, but that's just a drop in the bucket compared to any of these big five items coming up. The strata still needs a 3/4 vote to spend money and actually fix the issues. A lot of stratas just kick the can down the road and defer the problem into the future. Unfortunately, I've got a little bit more bad news for you as well, and that is that the strata insurance crisis in the headlines in 2019 was never really resolved. Many stratas ended up self-insuring rather than paying the $50,000 or $100,000 water damage deductibles. And where did these water damage renovation costs come from? It's the CRF again. Government reforms are coming, and I am optimistic policy change will alleviate and stabilize some of these costs, but there are still many stratas in BC self-insuring or paying nearly half their budget for insurance costs. It could still be a few more years before we have a practical, working solution and costs start to come down. In the meantime, insurance costs for stratas are up more than 40% since 2019. The bottom line here is that you have to be aware, but not afraid of potential costs. I am not advocating anyone not purchasing a condo building from the 1990s or older. In fact, I think these older condo buildings have some of the best locations and the best floor plans you can get, and in some ways are superior and more livable than new buildings. For example, in Cook Street Village in Victoria, you simply can't get these prime locations and square footage in a low-rise building unless you go for an older building. In this case, most of them are from the 1970s and 1980s. They can be solid investments, and many times the work has already been completed in the past, which will hold its value as an investment. What I do think everyone should do is make an accurate inflation-adjusted spreadsheet of the estimated costs and put that money aside for a rainy day. Don't assume the strata fee or the CRF will cover the expenses. Strata costs will only go up. When you're buying a strata property, really dig into those documents and don't overpay for an older building with large costs coming up in the pipeline. If you are thinking about buying a condo in Victoria, please don't hesitate to contact me, and I'm happy to help you and recommend what buildings to look for and what to watch out for. Please remember to hit that subscribe button and let me know if you've had any experiences with special assessments, strata repairs, and these kind of things discussed in the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.